Yo, boys, what's going on?
Not much. I'm doing good this morning. How you doing, Bryn?
Doing well, doing well. Sean, how are you, buddy?
I'm really good. We just had a great meeting that got me all pumped up and excited. So
Yeah, to say the least.
let's fucking go.
Yeah, that was a great meeting, and this weekend was awesome. I told you I never say this, but I feel I got sick or something from. I thought it was my daughter bringing home something from preschool. Now I think it's that I can't really sleep with all the stuff that we're doing, and I'm super excited and like worn out. I don't know which one it is, but anyway, good stuff. And I think we're going to start talking about that probably later this week. I think if we when we start in broad strokes at least. But Matt, we do a market update, but something popped out at me that I want both your takes on. Did you guys see the Larry Fink thing? Uh, the heading, BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says U.S. dollar is at risk of losing its reserve status to Bitcoin. I feel like this topic is what gets me the most excited, and I feel like because we've talked about it before, but interested in both of your takes on just that headline and what you guys know about that story.
You want to go first on this, Sean, or
You can go.
It is interesting. So as we've had this downturn in the stock market, people are blaming it on tariffs. People are blaming which is kind of like it's an uncertainty about the tariffs. So I don't think it really affects the market as much as people think they do, but they're analyzing that it affects it a lot. But my point is as the stock market has been going down, all financial markets, crypto and everything has been going down. Usually you see money go to a safe haven, and because money doesn't go to money heaven, right? It goes somewhere. Wealth goes places depending on the economic environment. They'll seek safety in when it's a risk off environment. So stock market's going down, it's risk off. You want to protect your wealth. So institutional investors and big investors will usually flee to the dollar. So they'll go back into dollars. The traditional investor, or just the retail investor, typically only does that as in holding dollars because they sell their stocks, right? And so, but institutional investors, they will go into the dollar for safety. But in this case, why the dollar right now has been going down. So with everybody, with flight to safety, you think into the dollar. Usually that's the norm for what happens. So the dollar goes up usually, and yields will go up, and then so that's usually the safety play in these economic conditions. So what's been happening is the dollar has been going down while the stock market's going down. So there's an issue there. That's a telltale sign that something's wrong, or something else is going on this time. Something's different about this time. And so what's happening is people are seeking safety in other currencies. So the dollar has been going down against other currencies. So in the foreign exchange market, the dollar is going down against other currencies. And so it's a worry about where is the world de-dollarizing? But all these other currencies are becoming worth less and less as well. So I think what's interesting, and so Larry Fink with BlackRock is highlighting that's what's happening. And so the flight to safety into the dollar hasn't been happening this time around. And they can say it's because of this or because of that. But the Federal Reserve likes it because they can produce more dollars, which will inflate assets.
I'm getting a bunch of feedback there. I don't know.
From
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I don't know where it is. It's just like a screeching. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me turn this off. So yeah, assets should, everything isn't priced in dollars, like stocks, crypto. So because it's the world reserve currency, so if there's more dollars in the system, there's the dollar's worth less, and so those assets priced in the dollar are worth more. And so it is an interesting deal that's happening right now. I don't know where this leads, but what us as crypto investors, or being in the crypto space, we have always kind of championed and wanted the Fed to turn on the money printer, to increase the dollar supply. So, you know, we wanted stimulus into the economy. So, but the last Federal Reserve meeting was very interesting. Even though they didn't cut rates, the language was they planned to laid out the groundwork to lower rates through 2027, and so that's stock market and crypto market positive to hear that, because ever since early 2021, they were actually December of 2020, that's when the Fed at a Fed meeting stated that we need to start offloading treasuries off our balance sheet. We need to start buying mortgage-backed securities and start tightening, and so they can raise interest rates. Mm-hmm. And so that's what the market taught, really. So that they've been essentially tightening ever since beginning of 2021 up until now, because other than laying out the groundwork that they plan to lower interest rates all the way through 2027, they made another statement. He made another statement stating that they plan to unravel their balance sheet, and so, which is an interesting thing. So that's I think Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent stated that the Fed did that or said that, and so that, you know, what does that mean? So that means that they're gonna offload. I think it's like $36 billion worth of mortgage-backed securities, which is a form of easing, or so that's taking away the protecting the market, and so that's a form of tightening when they bring those onto the balance sheet. But when they offload them, but the second part of that is they're going to use that money from unloading MBS to buy U.S. Treasuries, and so it's not that they're, and that goes onto their balance sheet too, and so essentially their balance sheet is going to remain flat, and so it's not. I mean, this unwinding of their balance sheet or offloading is, you know, that was kind of not true, because they're going to be onloading U.S. Treasuries from the sale of mortgage-backed securities. But buying U.S. Treasuries is extremely positive for dollar liquidity, and so that sets up the environment to ease. So essentially now they're on the pathway to start easing, and so right now, you know, we had an early run up in Bitcoin at the earlier part of this bull run, and I believe it was mainly Bitcoin centric. Yeah, Solana went on, and then people started gambling on meme coins, and so it looked like a traditional bull market. But I think that this really is the start of the bull market. people were just front running that government was going pro crypto. So they bought Bitcoin at 15,000 and it ran up to above 100,000. But realizing that we're still in this economic tightening period. And so now that we are going into this easing period, we're going to be, this could essentially really be the start of the bull run. And so how long does that take? It's not set in policy yet. It's just language from the Fed, but they always hint out, kind of give us their plan of what they plan to do, but what they actually do is another thing. But yeah, but it looks like that we're going into an easing time period. So that's what I think. But with the dollar situation, what Larry said, that is a very interesting scenario. I'm not sure if that, obviously that's going to make the dollar worth less and less. And is that good for the markets and crypto? I think what your thought was, and I'm just going to take a guess, is maybe those, instead of making flight to safety in other countries' currencies, maybe they end up, or gold, because gold's kind of had a run up because that's another flight to safety, but that's heavily manipulated. But anyway, maybe this flight to safety ends up going into crypto or Bitcoin. So yeah, so that's kind of my thought on it.
That's the 3 mile answer, the giant answer.
That's yeah.
Explain that in layman's terms, Matt.
No, hey,
I'm really good at layman's terms because I'm a layman. So
hey, no, it could set up a scenario to where Bitcoin really gets a lot of capital inflow into it. And so we're in, that's basically the economic environment, the perfect economic environment for people to get into Bitcoin. And so my price targets for Bitcoin this bull run are higher than what I was previously anticipating. I mean, I think we could go to weird numbers. Like I texted you guys, above 300,000 could be above 500,000.
Okay, Sean, I want your take because I want to ask a question after that. So I want what you're thinking on this.
I mean, I think that Trump has got our economy going crazy right now. People are freaking out. So the dollar's going down, and the best place to put your money is in Bitcoin.
I mean,
in terms.
Okay, well, so I feel like not that I'm new to the Bitcoin game, but obviously been focusing on it more recently in the last several months, over the last year, and been around for the last few years, right? And before I did this, was much more maybe have Matt's understanding or at least interest in some of the political sphere, right? And I'm not getting into politics. And Sean, I think you would agree that Trump, love him, hate him, doesn't make a difference. He's a different type of wrecking ball type president, right? Comes in with a hatchet, not a scalpel, and that is who he is. People on the left hate it, people on the right like it, but it's consensus that that's his MO. And I just see all these breadcrumbs all the way through, right? And I as Matt was talking, I just wrote down 4 real quick, which is all the way back from the campaign trail. Multiple times the same exact sentence, which is Trump saying, who knows, maybe we pay all of our debt down with crypto. He said those exact words multiple times, right? On top of that, right as he gets into office, there's this big spotlight put on Fort Knox. Is there really gold there? Is it almost like laughing that it couldn't be there and this is ridiculous, and really like kind of making gold look silly, right? We have tariffs that are going in place where Trump's literally saying, I don't care what it does to cost. Meaning, bring the manufacturing in. I don't care what the price is. He's also said, I don't even look at the market right now, right? Because he's not even pretending that, oh yes, I'm concerned. He said, I'm not even looking at it. And at the same time, maybe the most telling hand is him and his family aggressively getting into crypto, and with World Liberty Financial putting together what feels to me like a central bank of the digital crypto world. All of that gesturing is abundantly obvious to me that something like this is coming, and I think he's positioning the country as well as himself to be the beneficiaries of it. And bro, this story coming out was exactly what we talked about last week. It's exactly what I think is happening. So I think he could be tanking the dollar on purpose and making this over. Now, I think, where does that road lead, right? That all makes sense to me. That adds up. But there has to be a positioning that happens, right? You wouldn't do that and not have a strong position in Bitcoin. They talked about a Bitcoin reserve. I get it, but it better be a very, 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 very healthy Bitcoin reserve. And if the dollar tanks, and they're already now seeing Russia and China, not trading in non-dollar currencies, accumulating more gold. There's going to be if the U.S. makes a flagrant move and buys a lot, I think it could cause buying to a degree we've never seen or even can fathom by a lot of these other nations. Last thing I'll say is, the only better thing than fixing the U.S. dollar and controlling the U.S. dollar, obviously, is controlling a global currency and cornering that market. That's the real power play that I think Trump would love.
And let's compound that a little bit.
Let's go.
I don't know if you've seen this, but Bill Tai sits on the board of this company called Hut 8 Corporation, and they just teamed up with the Trump brothers, Eric Trump and the other one, they want to become the world's largest, most efficient pure play miner for Bitcoin, while building a robust strategic Bitcoin reserve. And so Bill Tai sits on this board. We all know him through On-Chain Monkey. I don't know if you've seen this post, but so now the Trump brothers are going to start building the biggest mining facility in the United States.
Bro, the writing's so on the wall. Like it's wild to me. It's literally wild to me. And again, it's because of Trump's personality. Do I think George Bush or Mitt Romney would come in as a conservative and do it? No, never. Would I bet against Trump doing something wild? I would bet only on him doing something wild, personally. And it feels like the dollar is dead. Spend it like monopoly money. Who cares? It's going to be painful. There's going to be a shift, and the U.S. is going to end up on top. And if I know Trump, he's not going to do it in a slow-moving fashion, because there's going to be midterm elections, which are not as important for this kind of move, but there's going to be an election that starts in about 2.5, 3 years. He doesn't want to have all the damage still happening then. Maybe he just stays in office. I know that's what Sean's thinking. And maybe that is the type of, I think a seismic, once in a couple 100 years shift. I know that money changes dramatically every about 80 years. I think this is a whole reshuffling of the deck. I don't think it's a CBDC, which another breadcrumb is there's never going to be a CBDC, another breadcrumb that's dropped there. And I think it's a Bitcoin. Sean, the only way you and I are going to disagree on this, the only place we are is, I believe fervently, it becomes peer-to-peer, and it really becomes a digital currency that is, yes, stored as, it's a gold now because it's going up in price. That's going to stabilize. It's not going to have those big upswings. And I think it becomes a peer-to-peer currency. It's a global currency that the U.S. dominates. Lights out. That's it.
I agree with that.
Oh! Finally, there we are. Dude, the breadcrumbs are crazy. How is it not? It's so clear to me. I don't think that, like, the debt's so crazy. What are we going to do? Just chip away at it for 1,000 years and hope something happens? What, start a war so that, like, we can reshuffle the deck? I guess that's what we've done forever. Or you make a move like this, and who knows if they have been accumulating it. I mean, Matt and I were talking about this after the show last week. I mean, this is now where I'm getting conspiratorial, and I don't want to discredit everything we've talked about with conspiracy, but I mean, was this the play all fucking along from 10, 12 years ago? There's smart people in the economic war room. Is this what was I mean, you look at even who's the founder of Bitcoin, which I think is an interesting question. Nobody else does. I think everything I've watched, read, talked to, I think it's a guy like Hal Finney. And, what a coincidence Hal Finney has an untimely death. And now is the U.S. literally controlling this whole chessboard? I don't know. I think it's plausible.
Hey,
Matt,
on let's see, the Trump brothers starting the biggest mining facility in the U.S. Or so, what are they going to use those bitcoins that they mine for? Or like, did they mention that it would go to the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve? Because I have my doubts on that. I just don't know. I haven't heard anything or any statement that the government is actually going to be buying Bitcoin or accumulating Bitcoin through mining to add to that reserve.
I don't think this has to do with the government. I think they know what's going on in the background, and
yeah,
they're
as individuals.
Yeah.
And that's what,
I mean, it's this Hut 8 company. They're actually having a Spaces tomorrow, I believe. Or is it today? Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern about this whole thing. I just know about it because Bill Ty and Amanda Terry posted it earlier. But everything seems to be compounding in this direction. Maybe they are taking the dollar on purpose and like MicroStrategy trying to, get their piece of the Bitcoin pie before it actually all transfers over to that.
Yeah, and for them to use this strategic reserve to pay off the debt, whatever if they're taking down the value of the dollar on purpose, which has been happening, but if they're doing it at a more extreme pace, I just feel like that they would need to be building up that reserve so they can pay off the debt. I don't think that individuals or even individuals within government are accumulating Bitcoin are actually going to be using that to pay off any debt.
You cut out a little bit. I didn't hear the rest.
I just don't think any individuals in government or just individuals in general trying to accumulate what Bitcoin are gonna, any debt or like there's, I just don't. That's the only thing that, while thinking about it, that there's a strategic move to pay off the debt because the dollars are worth less, and then the Bitcoin.
I don't think it's a payoff shit. Isn't it to eliminate it? And what are you going to do? We owe you money. What are you going to do? I mean, and you look at more breadcrumbs. If that causes some sort of global conflict, number one is who's going to do anything about it? And number two is that even why we're gesturing and signaling that we're taking up these different areas? Hey, Canada's become the 51st state. We're taking over the Panama Canal. We're going to take a little bit of Gaza. We might take over Greenland. Is that a flex to say, let's go and get in line, or let's go? Like, you're not going to play ball with us? We still have the most robust economy. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you've got then you're going against the powers, the banking system.
But the banking system, okay, fine, I get it. But if you were going to have participation, you'd need companies like what? BlackRock? Well, that's coincidental because now they're holding 50 billion in Bitcoin alone. That doesn't take away any land holdings, asset holdings, investments. Nothing happens with that. So would they be down with it? And if Fink is down with it and BlackRock's down with it, do you think that they're not talking with every other central bank or large financial institution about what a shift would be, and they'd be positioning right now, and then we'd be more competitive with any of those similar companies outside of this country? I don't know.
Well, so I haven't seen anything, or I don't think that BlackRock itself is buying any Bitcoin.
Well, they have. Who would know? Well, that's the only I think fracture in all of this is I feel like if this were to happen, it's not going to be sitting on existing holdings, because you wouldn't want to make a seismic shift and then compete. Like, you'd need to corner the market. Maybe they are. Like, I don't think they would do it in a very obvious way, like click button, buy 50 billion in Bitcoin. I think it would be a slow buildup, right? I think they would be accumulating. And if the US is in a position of power, we're not complaining that they didn't do it all at once. We're just happy we're in a position of power. So have they been accumulating, and do they already have that position? I don't know, probably.
Yeah, like playing a Jamie Dimon type play.
Exactly.
You knock on Bitcoin and tell all his employees, if you're buying or trading Bitcoin, you're out of here. Well, he's accumulating Bitcoin. But anyway, yeah, I mean, just BlackRock in general, they have clients that want Bitcoin, and so they'll go on the market and buy Bitcoin for them. So there's a lot of individuals a lot more individuals owning a lot more Bitcoin, which is good. I would rather the government not get involved in Bitcoin. I'd rather the regulations stay very and it because that's part of the Bitcoin play, right? Is that you can get out of the regulated financial system that's controlled. You've got to have like a want to buy Bitcoin apart from like owning a stock. So,
well,
they named the company American Bitcoin.
Wait, what's this?
American Bitcoin Corp. This Hut 8. I put the link in the chat or in our private chat, but you can read that.
That's a Federal Reserve play name. Like there's nothing federal about Federal Reserve, and there's no reserve about Federal Reserve. They're about as federal as Federal Express, as the saying goes.
It says American Bitcoin aims to become the world's largest, most efficient pure play Bitcoin miner while building a robust strategic Bitcoin reserve. The transaction combines Hut 8's proven mining operations, cost-efficient infrastructure development capabilities, and a disciplined approach to capital allocation with Eric Trump's commercial acumen, capital markets expertise, and commit to the advancement of decentralized financial systems.
Okay, Brent, so they could be accumulating it for the benefit of America and just keep it's private now, right? But yeah, so it's not.
Oh, they keep it private. Why wouldn't they keep it private? What do you mean?
Yeah, so they don't signal to the world like, hey, this is our game plan. Yeah, no, I can go. I like it. I like the thought. I wouldn't put it past any, the Trump team to be doing it in a way, in a like a 5D chess move way type.
5D chess with a hatchet. That's what it is. It's a little bit of both, right? And just like the whole world, the ambiguity around World Liberty Financial, which everybody kind of reads for 5 minutes and like I don't get it. What is it? Why was that important? Trump comes in and drops a Trump token on Solana. That's just to soak up all the Solana and then slowly convert it into whatever asset he really wants. I think what's interesting is, is there a play where there is some sort of digital dollar? I know that can happen without it being a CBDC. Does that do anything, right? If there is a simple, one-to-one where there's some sort of benefit to move your dollars into a digital dollar, is there a way then that actually strengthens the dollar because there's an element of scarcity? Not all of it's going to come over. I don't know. That's above my pay grade, but I feel like they're not going to abandon it. It's just kind of a hybrid system. And you can move it over. Bitcoin becomes far more prominent, and the digital dollar has a little more strength because of I don't know that I can't really think through.
Well, I think you just take over the stablecoin market and attach it to the dollar. I think that's all it is. I mean, the dollar's already most dollars are digital anyway. Just this, these stablecoins are on, ledgers, like blockchain ledgers. And so, yeah, you can, which would spread the use of the dollar, right?
Yeah, but if people brought like I get USDC, but it's tethered entirely, right? Like, couldn't they learn a bit from Bitcoin, where there is an opening to convert it over and then establish scarcity, right? Is that possible? Is it convert your dollars into a digital dollar, and then once that period's over, we're not creating any more digital dollars? Then you'd want a digital dollar for the scarcity, and cash becomes something people use or transact, but it's inferior, and you could realign the dollar entirely. If everybody converts over, that's it. It's a window, and then close it, and we don't have printing of more dollars all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are advantages of being able to inflate a currency when you've got like an expanding economy. But no, I see what you're saying. I mean, otherwise assets, because then you just end up staying in the dollar, right? And then you really don't want to be using those dollars to buy assets, because those assets would be that's a good question. I mean, very good thought.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thought or completely flawed, but I just feel like there's something there. And it's not the elimination of the dollar. It's just it's repositioning it and then a seismic shift to Bitcoin. And I don't see anything. I don't see how that's not happening.
I think that the USDC would be the one that became the digital dollar, because it's BlackRock, it's Circle. I mean, that would be the currency that became the digital dollar.
Yeah, whatever it is. What I'm saying, I guess, is whatever it is, could you make it stronger in that migration? Is there anything you can do so that if there's a migration where people are moving to stable coins for savings, banks are using it, et cetera, can you adjust things so it strengthens it in the meantime? And I don't know, but I feel like it's an opportunity. And the second that to me, it reminds me of ERC back in the pandemic. But when you give individuals a benefit to creating an account, they do it. Like every single restaurant owner, any single small business owner in the country figured out real quick how to do a pretty lengthy application for ERC to get that government money. If there was a benefit to converting to a digital dollar or USDC, whatever it is, everybody would. There has to be a benefit. You have to give some free money in there somehow, some way, but everybody will figure out how to get some free money. So I think if you have a protocol or program like that, where there's a window, and if you convert over, you get 20% on your money, whatever, everybody would do it. Everybody, because they want that free money. And those that don't, or those that are doing things criminally and aren't able to, you're able to cut out a lot of that, because they're not going to tie their name to all that money. But everyday mom and pops, everyday people, yeah, absolutely, figure it out. Frictionless wallet, I'll slide it over. I'll at least slide a bunch of it over, et cetera. And then all of a sudden there's a seismic shift. And the only way to ever do that is with a government program like that. And if you're given, and the government's able to give away something for it, then okay.
And it would probably be custody by the banks anyway, so unless you have your own private wallet. But by then, I think it would be custody.
Yeah, I think that's okay, right? That security is okay. It's not. Where they're not doing it by, like, who cares?
It's
better that way. Otherwise, it's like too much risk. That, I think, is fine, because the big banks are going to have a role in all of this. They're not going to be. It's not like, oh, we win, you're gone. They're too powerful and big. They're going to get their hands into some of this one way or another.
I like the idea of government majorly getting into like a stable coin type thing than them majorly getting into Bitcoin. And they can regulate the stable coin all they want, whatever. But I don't want tons of regulations on Bitcoin.
No, but I don't think we got back to this before. It's like analogies are good, but they always assume no innovation, right? So is there a way for it to be a hybrid system? Like the fact that, if government got involved, you still have wallets that are not connected to your identity in the same way that cash is not always connected to your identity. But if you want to do borrowing, lending, if you do want it to be insured, whatever it is, you participate with an intermediary. You don't have to, but you can. I think that ends up what happens, because it's too scary for people. I think Bitcoin would be adopted more if there was some more insurances, because most people don't care if the government knows where their money is. So it's a non-issue to normies. If they're not here now, that means that's not that important to them.
I agree.
So when's it happening, Matt?
Drop the hatchet.
I don't know when all that's happening. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how much they're getting involved. I think they think it's a valuable asset, and so they're going to participate in it.
And that's it? You think they're just looking at it as digital gold and everybody's happy?
For now, until they see, I think they see how it's new technology and it's evolving fast, and so you can't really anchor yourself with a certain idea.
They still wouldn't be transacting in Bitcoin, though, Bren. Sorry to break your bubble. They'd be transacting in USDC.
No, I agree. I don't think, maybe it's not a, history repeats itself, or doesn't always repeat itself. Sometimes it rhymes, whatever that expression is like, is it more of a hybrid system? Just simply put, it's gold and silver. Like it's not just one asset. Because same thing with innovation. It doesn't transact as fast, but do I think in 50 years we won't crack that code? No, I don't. That would be really crazy if nobody ever figured that out. Like, maybe they can't now, but you give decades of innovation. I don't think that's going to be a forever issue. I think there's going to be a lot of complicated infrastructure in there that's not there now, which is what makes Bitcoin beautiful. But you get enough people swimming around, they're gonna muddy it up real quick.
I agree. Should we talk about how this helps the Ordinal ecosystem on Bitcoin?
I mean, I'm in, Matt. Let me know what you think. I'm down.
Well, just how much inflows into Bitcoin obviously helps the Ordinal ecosystem. I think the Ordinal ecosystem itself makes Bitcoin a better technology overall. So I think it helps the price of Bitcoin actually. And so and it's a great way for people to own things on Bitcoin and not have to leave the chain. Yeah, I think it's all good.
I do too. I think if you look at it from the conversation we just had, right? I think hyperbolically, does it become the foundation of a big part of our economy, right? I think that's what we talked about early on. I think, let's say that answer is yes, right? Okay, so let's take that as the constant, or that as the given. Then what are ordinals, right? When we think of ordinals, we think of what you see when you go on Magic Eden and you see the top 10. That's an ordinal, but really it's a digital asset, right? So, what does that evolve into? It becomes digital assets on a major sector of our economy, if not a very, very, very large part of our economy. So I think ordinals then becomes the umbrella term for digital assets, and anything that is going to be memorialized, transacted, or a store of value on chain becomes an ordinal, right? So, I mean, I think two things. I thought this with NFTs, and I still think this with a lot of ordinal projects, is, go back, before we offend everybody, but you go back to Ethereum NFTs, right? And people were like, what are they? Like, what is the function? What is the purpose? What is the value? And we sort of just stopped at PFP communities. And obviously that didn't last that long, right? We didn't see that come back anywhere near what people thought this run, right? Because there was no real value. It was all speculative, or it was all in the eye of the beholder BS, right? So, you look at ordinals and you see they have the benefit of hindsight, and you're seeing art on Bitcoin, right? Well, art is a traditional store of value. It's a pretty basic store of value. It's kind of been something that people have put a value on for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So that makes sense. So I think it's a good first step. But like, do I I don't think ordinals as we now know them become all that like dominant. I don't think that's what's going to move the needle at all, because I think 9 out of 10 times it's a rinse and repeat from what we saw on Ethereum. And I think that's you're playing with fire. If that's all the innovation that's coming out of this sector, then good luck getting people to come in and participate. Didn't work for ETH. Just the fact that it's on Bitcoin is not enough. They're not listening to, oh, but the technology is better and it's more secure and it's inscribed. I care about that, but no one else does. In the grand scheme of things, nobody else cares. So I think until there's a store of value that people actually value, then we're in a spin cycle, right? So I think when there's other call it memberships, call it titles, deeds, whatever, that's when ordinals start to get real. And I think it does come basic. I think it comes from the consumer model. What does Bitcoin do better that the consumer is going to want? And I think memberships are a really obvious one. Jesus, my daughter just brought a black and white picture, and I thought it was a ultrasound. I almost shit my pants all over the floor, bro. I thought that was my way of finding out. Jesus. I was like, no way. How do I even? But so I think I do. And this isn't talking about any ordinals project specifically whatsoever, but a lot of times I have like kind of either deja vu or a moment of clarity, and like we're all getting excited about this stuff, but what's different than 3 years ago? Is there really anything different? I think it's a higher caliber community in Bitcoin. I do. I think it's more sophisticated. I think it can be more like a network. I totally get it. But it's a bunch of guys, me and my Ford, still playing around with the same shit, just on a different chain. And I think until someone ups the ante, I don't think it's that interesting.
Yeah, I think known artists that have been artists their whole lives, creating art inscribing art on Bitcoin, so it lasts forever, and is able to present it to the whole Ordinal community, which is a large community, is a real thing. I mean, art, people look at art as real value, and so that's the most valuable thing right now. That's giving real value. There, I think the communities that PFP collection gather is real value. The community is real value, but what's that community based on? Is it just to count my bags so the number goes up, and we'll try to see what the value really is. You can decide for yourself if these PFPs are like digital art is art, right? And I think it's getting better and better. So so they're sticking to it's art on Bitcoin. I think art done by artists. I mean, a lot of these digital artists, they're fairly new. They're real artists. I mean, everybody's kind of an artist in their own right. But yeah, I think the future is to be able to create real value on with ordinals, whether it's it gives you access to something valuable. So you have actual value at the beginning, and then that value, or whatever the ethos is around that value, the community rallies behind, right? So then you get the community, which is valuable, and then that community can use, or that, let's say it's a brand giving value, can use that their leverage on that to bring other actual valuable things and be able to deliver that to the community. And so, yeah, that whether it's let's say it's Nike, comes in, collabs with the community. And I mean, some of these shoes that people trade, like they'll buy up a new shoe drop, right? And some of these kids and people online make a bunch of money reselling the shoes because they get this rare shoe that everybody loves, and they resell them for a lot more. And let's say Nike comes in, collabs, and you've got all your members that own a digital asset that's already giving them real value. They get airdropped Ordinal that they can redeem for like a limited shoe drop that Nike did. That would be huge. I mean, that's crazy valuable to be able to get that essentially for free just by being a member. And Nike loves it because of the collaboration they get and the attention they get, the marketing, and same with the brand. So everybody's aligned incentively. So no, I think there's a lot of different things that'll happen with ordinals that will bring real value. I'm not saying that there's not real value there now, but we're just scratching the surface of what can be done with Web3 communities. Doing it in these other ways, you're also immune to the price of Bitcoin going up and down, the volatility of Bitcoin, the asset in general. And then you're also able to keep the community engaged and growing the community much more, not dependent on the volatility of Bitcoin, because the price of your PFP goes down when the price of Bitcoin goes down, or depending on how much the leader is innovating or creating perceived value for that PFP. And so, yeah, I just think we will see a lot of things coming to the Ordinal ecosystem that will make it grow much larger. It'll benefit all the collections of existing community members in general. And so, yeah, there's a lot of innovation that can be made on the Ordinal ecosystem, which will benefit Bitcoin in general, will benefit the price of Bitcoin, which will expand the community. And so, yeah, it's really good times for the Ordinal. It's really all based on that you actually own that Ordinal too, and it's inscribed on a Satoshi, and it's on the network and can't be shut down by living on a server. And so that's the Web3 part of it, ownership of your own data.
Yeah, I agree. I think like in a nutshell, I think especially with talking about the art on Bitcoin, all that kind of stuff, is I think it'll be powerful when we move away from something is valuable because it's inscribed, right? Like it's valuable because it's inscribed. Like that's what brings the value, right? And rather have something valuable being inscribed because that's better. I think that's more what you get with trad artists coming in and creating works is it's valuable, so I'm going to inscribe it rather than I'm going to inscribe it and create value through people and they can't participate in the actual upside. They can just, their asset might go up a little bit. That I think is sort of the paradigm shift that's needed. And I think that, when people talk about like tokenized brand, I think tokenized transactions are pretty big, right? Meaning, if it's essentially a receipt. I think the half step into a fully tokenized brand is using the receipt as an inscription because it's on chain and it proves authenticity. It doesn't need to be a digital asset. It can memorialize an existing asset. And I think when you do that, what happens is you start to make that transaction on Bitcoin so that you can receive that receipt. So I think there's like a half step there that could be really powerful. And I do think that one thing that the blockchain does better as well is, we talk about like memberships, right? And that can mean a million different things for consumer brands. Right now, businesses are built on subscriptions, and everybody hates subscriptions because number one is you only have it if you pay for it every month. It's going to be automatically deducted so that you lose any sort of control over anything, because every month they're going to ding you, you're giving them a credit card, whatever. I think a big shift would be to buy a membership that you own forever and therefore get the value you want at, let's say, a lesser price. And I think a lot of brands could do that and it would immediately have value. You talk about Nike does a collab or has a whatever, right? If I wanted to be in a club that gets those shoes, right? You don't have to digitize the shoes. I don't care about that. I don't want a digital shoe. I can't wear a digital shoe. But if I was in the Nike club and because I own that asset, I can now get the value that I want. That makes sense. If I don't want it anymore, you can't sell a subscription, right? You just don't pay, you lose it. If I don't want the damn Nike shoes anymore or that access, I'm going to sell that membership to somebody else. And maybe that price does go up, but it's not all a sunk cost for me in just ding me for $20 a month. End of the year, it's $240. If in month 13 I don't pay, it's all gone. No, I don't like that. And if it was, and that needs to use the blockchain, because if it was done with a credit card, how do I transfer that member? Do I give them my username and password and all of a sudden now they have it? That seems weird. So I think memberships are massive.
Oh, totally. Yeah, no, I love this conversation because there is so much more that can be done on, this side ecosystem on Bitcoin. And there's what you just talked about. And then also when you can have brand, let's say you can own ownership in a brand. Let's say you can use a lot of these people that own Bitcoin. They can invest in a brand, and they can get, so they have like a certificate of ownership. They can leverage, and it's kept in Bitcoin. They can leverage that with the brand as it's growing, right? As the brand is growing. And so now you can tell, people at Thanksgiving dinner or wherever, that, okay, yeah, I hate talking to my relatives that I own did crypto, but I could use that to invest in a company that's actually building up revenue, right? And so I'm leveraging my crypto, and my point. But it's much better than like I can't even tell my wife that I own a PFP or I paid this much PFP. She'll divorce me. I'm just kidding. But until it goes up in value, hopefully, and then I can say, look, I bought it for this, and I sold it for that. And so,
no, dude, I agree. And Sean, I'm interested in what you take. I remember the first time I read about blockchain, which was this moment for me that I thought was just revolutionary in my mind, right? Because I misunderstood what NFTs were. Right. The first time you look at something, sometimes you have a preconceived notion. It's off. I came from a world where I was constantly raising money to open up new restaurants. That was my whole thing. And I read about Bored Apes and I was like, holy crap, this is revolutionary. All these guys that bought these Bored Apes built this brand. And now Bored Apes is able to build a brand with all that money and everybody's able to participate. That was like so logical and breathtaking. Come to find out, they don't own shit. They own a picture of a monkey. So this community built Bored Apes. They built them from $200 each to a $4.5 billion brand. What does the community get? They get their picture. Yeah, they can go to a Tokyo once a year if they want or whatever. Everybody would trade that immediately. They should be rewarded for that work of building that brand. I don't understand how that isn't there. And for when I came into the space last bull, everybody was petrified of securities. Like securities that can't be, like, don't talk about these words. It can't be a security. Well, what NFTs were missing was being a security. And I think now we're in an environment where it's not as scary to do that. And I was talking to my wife about this morning. You look back at, let's say, Facebook, right? Facebook was the iconic, built in a garage like Apple, whatever. And then they have this like Series A, and you get guys like Peter Thiel in with a shit ton of money, and they put in a little bit of money and they got out a lot of money. That whole play of investing in Facebook was gate kept by people in the know, which happen to be people that are extraordinarily wealthy. And once they do it once, they can do it again. Individuals are left out of that process entirely. Another example is Tom Shoes. When Tom Shoes launched, I was a big fan. All I could do to participate was buy a pair of shoes. Fast forward 7-8 years, Blake sells it for $1 billion to Bain Capital and walks away with $450 million. Why couldn't I participate in that? Right? I think the blockchain provides a really unique way for individuals to participate. Imagine, like, think about Shark Tank and how everybody loves watching Shark Tank. Think about college-age kids who are on Robinhood or how they're betting on sports. The whole research to get a return is all there. It's everywhere. It's a massive industry. And everybody wants to see a brand, and they get it, and they think, I see a twinkle in that brand, I want to participate. But you can't. Not allowed. Why would you not? It doesn't have to be as holistic as we are 100% a tokenized brand, and everybody, we're going to sell all of our shares right now. Why not just have a Series A that's tokenized? Why not say we're raising X amount that is tied to this equity? You have it, it's memorialized, and it's on chain. We're building this as a community. Why is that not happening? That is, instead of playing around with JPEGs, that is an actual financial decision. There's more depth. It's what everybody wanted. It's a digital, it's a real asset. And I think as time goes on and Bitcoin doesn't have these big up and downs, and it gets a little tighter and tighter and tighter, people are going to need to do things and participate in activities that expands their Bitcoin without it just being waiting for Bitcoin to go up. It's not going to be exciting anymore to hold Bitcoin when it's going up 3% a year. So what you got to do is use that Bitcoin to generate more Bitcoin, just like people do with dollars. So until we get there, I don't know. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think that's the future.
Of course. and if it's not just businesses, it's artists, it's everything. You see an artist that you're like, holy shit, I understand music, right? I understand, or I ate at this restaurant or whatever, and I know they're going to be big. Well, now you can participate. The barrier to entry is gone. It's right there, and you're not going to lose it. It's right there. Like, come on. That breaks open a whole economy. Everybody can participate rather than just super, super, super wealthy people who see the huge upside, and then we'll have an IPO and let you participate, sort of. No, do it from the jump.
I agree.
Then it makes your customers or your users actual marketers. Like they care about how the company or brand is perceived by other people, and so it's a much better marketing effect because the community is actually gaining value from what they own, the security that they own. And
hell yes,
they can talk awesome about it, like I love Starbucks, like they can say that all they want, but they're not going to get any upside on that. They're going to still have to pay the same price for their coffee, and it's going to get Starbucks more customers, and it's going to raise their stock price. But
dude, think about what happened with meme coins, right? It one of the most breathtaking things was it showed that a digital community could move the needle and create value out of nothing, right? That's really what it was. But since there's nothing there, it becomes PvP. You stay in this little corner of the internet and you just kill each other until one bubbles up and then they all fall down, and one bubbles up and they all fall down. If you take that same phenomenon of taking a digital community and building something, but you don't siphon it to just be a token and just be on the blockchain, you'll see a community build a brand. I mean, think of GME and GameStop. When everybody got around and said, let's fucking F you to this big corporation, we're taking over and we're going to fight back. Now they're posting all over the place. Imagine if that's a consumer good. Imagine if that's now everything they're typing is not a meme about price go up, but it's pushing a brand, pushing a product, pushing a mission. You have thousands of people out there doing that, not just because they love you, but because their value is going to go up as that brand gets bigger, and there's no ceiling because the world is the consumers, not a bunch of dudes that are playing on crypto Twitter every day. It's going to break a barrier and change the way business is done forever.
It's where, whether people like it or not, it's where the space is going. It's the future of the way brands will be built.
Dude, everybody should like it. You're an entrepreneur and you have a vision and you're going to deliver on it. You don't have to go pitch your neighbors for 10 years, trying to ask them for 25K and then taking your soul and then trying to do it again. And you're trying to do two things at once. Your customers can become your investors And that's going to be the most loyal, healthy investment they've ever made because they're participating in the brand. I spent years pitching people. My consumers were super happy. They love the brand. But now I got to convince some guy I don't know that has a big bank account to give me a little bit of his money and not completely rape me in the process to go deliver to my consumers. What does that make any sense? Just connect the two, and it's a much healthier ecosystem.
On other Ordinal news, Taproot Wizards is down 20% today, but Quantum Cats, they're both tied together, is down 48% today.
Was that the price that they were at? Like,
No.
they're down from, was that what was, how were they so expensive at the beginning?
I mean,
The art.
A month ago it was at 0.2 BTC, and it's just kept going down. Now it's at 0.4548. Just more JPEG.
Dude, I mean,
I'm telling you.
like, it's hard. It's like, how do you bounce? Like, there's just nothing. Like, it sounds like the age-old NFT like thing that I hated when people said, like, what are they? They're just, but there's no narrative that can push you through a bad time. The only narrative is hodl. It'll get better. And that's what you got. There isn't a mission. There isn't another accomplishment. There isn't delivery. There's nothing. You just have to wait for the market to do its thing and people to forget about bad news. And then eventually people stop selling and you can wash trade a fuck ton of them. And all of a sudden price goes up. Like, okay, I got to time that trade. Like, but there's nothing there. I don't know. I feel like it's what's made the outside world look at us like we're silly. Like, try explaining that to your smart neighbor. Like, I just lost 10 grand. How? Well, I bought something. Show me what you bought. I can't show you. And I can't explain it. In fact, I can't even bring up this story because you'll think less of me as a neighbor. Like, like I can't. So I can't tell anybody about it. I just have to hold on for dear life. And hopefully some whale from Taiwan comes in and buys all of them. And then my price goes up and I can get out of here as fast as humanly possible. That's it. But if the same thing is that it's a brand, let's say it is coffee, you go to your neighbor and say, I lost 10 grand, but I believe in this coffee company. They're delivering on this mission. You've had the product. Right now the stock's down, so to speak, but I really think they got a lot in the tank. Then all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, maybe it's at a discount for a reason. And maybe this is a good time to enter. And by the way, maybe I could connect them with these 5 people and that would actually alleviate their revenue problem. And now we're building something. Well, yeah, that sounds like a sophisticated conversation that makes sense. But like, what? You don't even have the conversation. I don't even tell my wife half this stuff. If she found out I was buying stuff, I couldn't explain the purchase. I can't get mad at her buying shoes because at least you can wear shoes. Like, at least she likes them on her feet. Like, I get it. There is value. It might be overpriced value, but there's value.
Yeah. I mean, I hope whoever's watching and, you know, the Ordinal community
Doesn't eat us alive.
Yeah, doesn't hate that. I mean, we just want to be reality. We want the we want the ecosystem to grow, and we need, not that there's not real value here, you know, but there's a lot more value that can be brought into the space. And once that's done, all of the guys hodling Bitcoin is going to respect the Ordinal community even more than they are. And it's really a great opportunity. It's where this technology and this Web3 ecosystem is going.
Dude, it's not. The argument is not that we're saying there's no value here. The argument is saying there's so much value here. Stop bastardizing it. That's the argument. It's not there's no value. It's the opposite. We're talking about a digital asset class that can be so much that it's mind blowing. We're talking about the whole economy could effing shift to it. So it's not that there's no value here. It's that the value is being bastardized. And in terms of like getting eaten alive or whatever, The truth is, I don't care. Everybody's thinking the same thing. But you have to play the game and act like, rah, 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 like, yes, price go up. Because we know there's something special here. Yeah, what we just bought's not that special, but we know there's something special here to cling on to. And everybody's waiting for that to happen. Nobody could really argue it's a good investment. Maybe price will go up. That's a good investment. But explain to me why price goes up and if that makes any sense. No, not really. Because the value's all just in the eye of the beholder. It doesn't make any sense. So, and I wait until somebody ties actual value to that, when it has an equitable stake in the brand. What are the founders going to say that didn't do that? What are they going to say? Well, I know this company over here just gave you a piece of the pie. We ate all the pie, but you have a really cool picture. Like, what are you going to say? Like, where people are going to believe in the brand that gave up, that weren't pigs, and said, you're participating, you give me money, I'm giving you something, let's build this thing together. That's a two-way street. Not give me all your money and good luck, we're going to wash trade the shit out of this, and hopefully it's worth more, but good luck, because we're going to keep all your money.
It's exactly the narrative. It's exactly what needs to come into the space. Right now, the narrative is, we need to get away from things backed by crap, backed by crap, backed by crap. Get rid of like these tokens that are just, everybody's desperately trying to find why they're valuable. It's because the number might go up. Like your keyboard warrior, you're commenting, you're about the project, just so your bag's number can go up, pump my bags, and we need to get into what's really valuable on chain. And so, and what this space, how this space can have actual value. That's what's going to bring the normal person, like, period.
And also, like the amount of money that's been extracted from the ecosystem from some of these PFP projects, and they're not putting it back into the system. That's the Ordinal's biggest problem. I think it's let me get a bunch of money and y'all get the PFPs and we're basically done. But if you want to change that, I mean, Pizza Ninja is great community. They're building a game out. They're game number 2 is coming out, so they're using the money they made off their collection and building something bigger, doing something with it it's advancing the ecosystem. But a lot of the
sorta
there's more things coming out with them. I think there is. I think that's the way to do it. If you want to keep building, then build. Like, use that money, keep building. But the money has left Ordinals and NFTs and whatever else and meme coins, because people have extracted so much money from them and not put it back into the community, into the ecosystem that it takes a while for more people to come in with money. So if you go about it in a different way and being like, I'm gonna make a little money off this, but I'm also going to put money back in and try to make Ordinals better, make runes better, whatever it is. I think that is the magic, and that's what companies need to be doing in this.
Well, okay, so collections, PFP collections have been doing, creating a game so their community can play the game with, and have access to that game with their NFT that they have, right? Like that's a regular path that founders will take to let the community know that they're still building. I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but what I'm saying is to grow the ecosystem, to get the average person into this Ordinal ecosystem. You need to make it so they can tell their wives that, hey, I'm spending my time, we're building a family, raising a family. Now I'm spending my time online playing video games. Or it's just like, yeah, but it's like, so she's like, so are you an investor, or are you like a video game player, or what are you doing? Are you making money for the family? And so for the regular person that has money to come in, it has a hard time being 40 years old and going into playing video games. I'm not saying it's not cool. Well, it's just not cool to the average person. I'm just saying that. And but so it's good for the community because it shows the leader is actually doing something to try to provide value for the community. So I'm not knocking on it at all, but it's the traditional route that a leader will take to show the community that he's trying to provide value. But if you can actually provide real value in something that creates real revenue from the outside world and on Web3, then you've really got something. Then you can go tell your wife, yeah, I'm actually own a part of this company. I'm an investor in this company that actually works, that actually derives revenue from a real product. Something
Yeah.
proven.
No, Matt, I agree, because what happens otherwise, and I think there has to be this value to everybody else, right? Because otherwise, what does a digital community do? They build a brand, right? That's beautiful. That's where the story stops, right? And then when that brand needs to generate more revenue, what do? They sell things to that community. So the people that built the brand, you build it up so that you can sell more things to them and extract more value. Okay.
Yeah.
If it's outward, let's say they create a video game, right? And the video game's played by 20 million people, right? Because you don't need to be specifically in this space to use it, right? It's a video game that every child loves. Well, now you've created value outside of deriving it from your community, and allowing that community to participate is huge. If they do develop that game and they have 20,000 holders, well, now you have 20,000 people out there spreading the message, and that's going to travel far faster than one little tiny marketing budget, and some magic can happen. But I think right now the value is in it just being inscribed. The fact that it's inscribed is why it's valuable. Pump that up as much as you can, and hey, guess what? We got something else we inscribed that we're going to sell you now. And then they buy it, and then it becomes PvP in this little niche market of crypto, and we kind of stay in a spin cycle.
I think you're right on all that, except for I think the art on Bitcoin is quite different.
I agree.
I
agree. It's the only thing that's real. How's that? Like, because it's valuable because it's art, and art's a store of value. I get it. I'm in. I think it can evolve and be better, and you're going to have more artists come in. And the reason that it's valuable is because the asset's value, inscribing it, memorializes on the blockchain. It's better. It's a better way of doing things. I agree entirely with art on Bitcoin.
I'm not saying that digital art isn't valuable, but I am saying that like Hafka is killing it. Like he's crushing it. He's an artist that gets it, and he's gonna inscribe like crazy, and I really like Hafka and how he understands what's going on, and he'll admit it. He'll admit it. I'm gonna inscribe on this Satoshi, and I'm gonna show my art.
Yeah, and I think there is a difference between, and everybody thinks this is like a like this is discrediting. It's not. There is a difference between Hafka, an artist like him, and PFP projects. That doesn't mean that there's no value in the PFP projects. I would say that a PFP project is akin to being in a fraternity or being a member at a country club. There's a lot of value in having that network of people where there's a barrier to entry. I mean, you get to if something's free, you get riffraff. If something's exclusive, you're around a very unique group of individuals that you have a lot in common with, and that has value in and of itself. I agree. And there is some that check off both boxes. I agree. But it's like we keep on trying to hammer like the only way for it to have value is if it's a PFP community, or if there's so many more options in a robust economy as an asset class than just this. And I think the big thing that's changed since the last bull to this is not everybody's scared of the security angle. It's not as scary anymore. Thank you, Daddy Trump, right? No one's as scared anymore because I think he's blurred those lines quite a bit. And I think whoever takes that risk is going to have a massive reward. But we've been going on for longer than an hour. That was exciting. We'll come back tomorrow. I know we got some guests coming in this week, but don't know if you guys want to close out with anything.
I think what you just said was great. PFP collections are like country club membership, right?
Yeah.
Like you get to play golf. The price of the membership might go up, right? If you bought it at the time, you could sell it. higher, but as you own it, you've got connections to other people that are in that exclusive club, and but in the meantime, you're playing golf, right? You're
you're enjoying yourself, right? We just met a incredibly bright, sophisticated developer for something that we needed. Why did we meet that guy? Because we're a part of a network that has access to high quality people. If we didn't have access to that network, we'd be scrambling trying to find it from a bunch of random people we couldn't trust. But I know that if he's a part of this community, I can trust him because we know the same people, and he's talented enough to be in that community and pay to get into that community. So there's value right there. We got more value than the price of entry in that one relationship connection. So anyway, I agree. Sean, anything from you?
Y'all have a beautiful day. I got to go pick up my son.
I got to go grab my daughter. She's coming in with a doll, and it's only one daughter, so that's good. There's no babies coming like I thought there was. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. See you tomorrow.